Hi, I'm Gabriel, and this is Learning English Path. And in this lesson, I'm going to teach you the hero's journey, part 7, approach to the inmost cave. When I talk about the hero's journey, I'm talking about the mythical story structure which was popularized by Joseph Campbell in the 20th century. And you can check out the previous episodes in this series, okay? This series is all about looking at each step in this structure and focusing on it in a way in which you can learn English. Okay? So if you like this and you like these English lessons, please give the video a like. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're interested in learning English with songs, don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free PDF guide on 101 songs to learn English. Okay? So this lesson on the hero's journey is a little bit different. In some of the lessons, I teach you lots of new vocabulary or look at idioms or a way to say something, right? But in this one, I'm going to look at your preparation on the hero's journey. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in a minute. But first, let's review lesson 6. Okay, lesson 6 was on tests, allies, and enemies. And I taught you synonyms for tests, allies, and enemies. Okay, so review with 3 questions. All right, number 1, what word describes a checkup from the doctor? Okay, question 2, what is another word for coworker? All right, and question 3, what word describes the main enemy you have who continuously opposes you? Now, if you're interested in learning the answers to those questions, go back and look at episode 6 of this series, okay? You can find it in my many videos. But now let's get on to approach to the inmost cave. Now, what is this inmost cave? It can be a physical cave, right? In many adventure stories, the hero does need to go and slay the dragon in the cave, right? For instance, in the Lord of the Rings. Okay, so it could be a physical cave, but usually it is a symbolic cave. It's the cave in our minds, right? It could be a location where we have to go and fight the enemy, or we have to go and do something. But it's really an inner conflict. Even when it's an external conflict, it's still an inner conflict that the hero is continuously battling with. Okay? And so this approach means to move towards something, right? So as the hero approaches the cave, he must make the final preparations. Preparations before taking that final adventure into the unknown, into the inmost cave. That's why it's called inmost, because it's the deepest part of yourself, that is dark, right? It's where you don't usually go inside yourself. So just before going into the cave, what the hero needs to do is once again face some of the doubts and the fears that he or she has faced on the entire adventure. It's a microcosm of the entire process, right? You must make sure that you're ready. And it's really about reflecting upon the journey you've had so far before going right into what is stage 8, which is the supreme ordeal. Okay, look out for that video next week. And, this isn't just about a hero in some movie or book or video game. This is about you, because we are all on the hero's journey, right? I am, you are, everyone you know is, whether they know it or not. They are on this hero's journey. And it just, you have to know how this hero's journey translates into your own life. So before you face your biggest fear, you have to prepare yourself with a question, many questions actually. What is your greatest fear? And why? What is it you fear about it? This is most likely the adventure that you have to continue on the most. Your fear. Because it's your greatest fear that's holding you back in life from attaining that treasure, which is later on in the hero's journey, right? That's what you're on the journey for. So what does the hero need in this stage? What does the hero need to have in order to go inside the inmost cave and face the dragons in the cave, to attack whatever it is that the hero is afraid of in the supreme ordeal? What is it that you need before walking into the cave? There are 3 things that I'm going to share with you today. And they are psychological. They are not material. It is not, in the story, it could be that the hero gets a sword, or the hero gets a map of the cave, or a book, or a mentor, right? But ultimately, he must face his fears alone. And the tools that the hero needs to face his fears alone when it comes to that supreme ordeal are psychological and spiritual, right? So, what are they? The first one, number 1, the hero needs courage. Courage. Whatever you are facing in that cave, whether it's a test, maybe it's for you a big exam, or you have to make a big presentation and you're scared, or maybe you're about to become a parent, a mother or a father. Maybe you are about to confront someone that you have a disagreement with, right? Whatever it is, the first thing you need is courage. And that's not just bravery. Okay, it's not just that you have to be brave. Courage is something deeper than bravery, really. Right? When you die, and you will die, I will die, everyone we know will die. And when you die, don't you want to know that you have made a difference? it feels comfortable to agree with others, right? It feels comfortable to agree with everyone else. If you have doubts about what another person says, well, you might not want to say anything because you want that person to like you, and we don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to be in a confrontational situation, right? But when we die, have we expressed ourselves at all truly in life? Or have we just merely settled for being part of a group, being part of the wave of the culture that we were a part of, instead of showing our deepest truth, right? Showing our deepest colors. You see, no one who ever changed the world was in the majority to begin with. Have you ever thought about that? No one who ever made a change in the world, a real change, was in the majority, because then it wouldn't have been a real change. Right? Now, when I'm talking about change, I'm talking about a significant world-altering change, okay? Now, you can make a change in your house or whatever and be in the majority, but I'm talking about something that has changed the world forever. No one has ever done that coming from the majority. Understand? Because if it were already the majority, then you wouldn't be changing anything. So, it always took courage to disagree with the majority. You need that courage if you want to change something in the world. If you want to make a big impact, you need the courage to stand up to the majority and make the change. And it always has taken courage to explore the inmost cave, because that's where you have hidden the parts of yourself that you are too scared to look at. Right? That's where you're hiding them. That's where the monsters live. The monsters in yourself. When you're trying to slay the monster, that conflict is scary. It's frightening because it's threatening. It threatens you as you believe yourself to be right now, right? So maybe your adventure is to learn English, and you have this big test coming up. Maybe it's the IELTS test, right? Or the TOEFL or whatever. And you're about to go into this test. You're about to approach that cave. And it's scary because if you do pass, then yes, you will grow. But in growing, a part of you also dies. A part of your identity that says that you are not yet a fluent English speaker. And as silly as it sounds to say that you are afraid of killing that part of yourself in order to grow and become a fluent English speaker, that for a lot of people is very scary. Without understanding that, without knowing it, it's scary to change in a way even that is good for you. Because what you're doing is you're slaying your old self. You're killing a part of your identity, even in growing. Okay. So, whatever it is that you're up against in that cave, you need courage to face that. So that's what you need to know. When you approach that cave, the first thing you need to develop is courage. And how do you develop this courage? You develop courage through constantly pushing yourself beyond the boundaries that you have created, beyond that comfort zone. You develop courage by saying what you really think or what you really feel, by forcing yourself to be true to yourself even when you are the minority. So if your friends are all saying one thing and you actually disagree, then you actually say what you believe to be true. Because you know what? Maybe they are all scared to say that same thing anyway. Maybe your courage will inspire them to continue down their own hero's journey. You know, it takes courage to fully accept the truth of who you are. And that's what you're doing when you go into the inmost cave. You are revealing to yourself the truth of who you are. So, if you want to develop courage, practice being truthful to yourself, not deceiving yourself. Make that a habit. And it's difficult at first, but it gets easier once you develop that muscle. That's courage. Because why simply live and conform and die without any self-expression, right? Courage gives you the freedom to act. Okay, so that's number one, courage. Number two, wisdom. You also need wisdom. Why do you need wisdom? Well, now that you have courage, you need the wisdom to know how and when to use the courage, right? Because, okay, let's say you have 3 friends who go into the woods and they don't come out. Well, should you go in after them? Not necessarily, right? Just because you have the courage to go in after them does not mean that you should necessarily. Maybe you should, but maybe you shouldn't. Wisdom is all about knowing your priorities, knowing your core values in life, and choosing what to do based upon your core values. Making decisions based on your core values and your priorities in life. That is wisdom. If it is not worth living without those 3 friends, maybe you should go after them. But if you know that there's a monster in the woods and no one's ever come out of that forest alive, and you don't have the tools to be the first person to come back out of that forest alive, then maybe you shouldn't go in, especially if you have a family who is a priority to you, or if you are contributing to your community and that is a core value for you. then maybe that takes priority over being foolish and going in after your friends in the woods and dying, right? You see, you can have the courage to face your fear, but if that fear, upon facing it, is going to destroy you and prevent you from coming back, then it's not very wise. So you need wisdom. How can you develop wisdom? Read books. That's a great way. Listen to others who have walked the path already. Find a mentor. Question them. Compare them with each other. And compare them with your own situation. Right? Context is very important. Take courses. Invest in yourself. Educate yourself. In all ways, right? Educate yourself with new experiences, with travel, learn new skills, make connections. The more you learn, and in as many ways as you can learn, the more you will connect the dots, the better you will be at connecting the dots. And if you have the courage to start learning a new language, then you can have the courage to go and talk to all the English teachers in the school. But if you're not wise enough to know when you start to annoy them and they start to get frustrated with you, if you can't see that, if you haven't developed that wisdom in yourself, then you will bug them so much that next time they see you coming to them, they'll just run away. And then you're not going to learn English, right? So you need to have the wisdom to know what the best path is, when to stop, right? Courage isn't everything, because you can be foolhardy when you're courageous. You need to know when it is to your benefit to stop and go, maybe take a step back in order to go forward. There's an English expression, take one step back to go 2 steps forward. Okay, wisdom is what you need before going into that cave. And then the third thing is love. Now, why do you need love? You need love because it is love that is the light that will shine into that dark inmost cave. That is what will help you to see in the cave. You cannot just go in with courage and not properly see what it is you're up against. You cannot just have wisdom either. Whatever your adventure may be, love will guide you on your path. Because when you cannot love, courage is only carelessness. And when you cannot love, wisdom is only cunning. Right? It's only strategy. You cannot defeat the monster in the cave if you cannot see what it is you are battling. You cannot see if you cannot accept. And you cannot accept if you cannot love. With love, you can see what it is that's inside yourself and integrate that. Integrate everything that is ugly and change it. Transform that into something beautiful. That is what the hero's journey is all about. To kill is simply, to slay the dragon, to kill the monster, to kill that part of yourself. That is simply to change it from one state to another. It's not real death, it's a transformation, okay? And you will have no power over this state of transformation if you do not love. Self-love and love for all that exists, okay? Remember that in this adventure, you may fail. You may fail. And you need love because you need to love yourself when you fail in order to rise again. Love keeps you alive after failure. I've failed many times in my life, and it wasn't courage that got me back up, and it wasn't wisdom. It was love. Love for the path. So how do you develop love? You develop love by engaging yourself with a state of love that you have felt whenever, right? You can think back and feel back into a point in the past where you had an incredible state of love, and you need to dive into that, and you need to meditate on that. You need to dwell on that love and let it wash through you, through your whole being. And then you take that love and you emanate it out into the universe. Courage, wisdom, love. You need them to go into that inmost cave. Keep learning, my friend, and keep going.